Going on, everybody? It's Josh, aka the Modes of Muscle, and I'm coming at you with a solo Q&A for the Next Step podcast. Yeah, family. Now, I have tons of questions because I put this off for a little bit. So let's hop right into it. Start, like, comment, share, subscribe, hype the video, all that fun stuff. Um, I don't even know that got a little irritation going on. Um, yeah, it helps the podcast, I guess. I don't really know. We're gonna say it helps the algorithm. It helps people find us. Cool. Really, use code Moses at hdmuscle, naturalbodyinc.com, and lift fucking heavy. And Trunk Long Island. So help the boy out. If you're in the New York area, check out Pivot Gym. All right, we're done with all the paying the bill stuff. All right. Top three whey proteins of all time. Shout out Sam Greco. One, this is crazy because they're probably not going to be HD muscle ones, right? Because I'm not a biased human being. But one, Monster Cookie by Muscle Swoop. Fantastic. Two, Nutribio whey protein isolate s'mores is insane. Three is a toss up between two. Actually, it's Precision Protein, Honey Granola, and HD Muscle Maple Waffles. Both of those are fire. If you're looking for like that type of flavor, so that's what I'm going to go with. That's what I'm sticking to. All right, I'm starting to get a lot of water retention from 6 IUs a day. Is it time to decrease the dose? So you can go about this two ways. If you want to stay at the 6 IUs of GH, because obviously you pick that number for a reason. Um, just as all the time, I feel like bodybuilding starts. So you can go with the route of, maybe something like a dandelion root as a natural diuretic to just drop some water. Um, you can also go with if you're not taking ARB, something like telmisartan is going to help to regulate the water as well. And then if you are, already taking those and you're still kind of experiencing some issues with it, hydrochlorothiazide is another option. Just taking it at a low dose, obviously, because you're not trying to take diuretics to take GH. That doesn't really make a ton of sense, but keeping it at a low dose can definitely help. I'm pretty sure it's ALA also will help with that, and it'll remove some of those like carpal tunnel things that you might be feeling. So those are all great options. Otherwise, if you tolerate a 4 IUs well or 5 IUs well, go down to 4 or 5 IUs. If like at the end of the day, this is not you have to do a certain number. What you have to do is what works for you. So based on your goals, whatever works for you is what works for you. If you can only use one brand dash line of equipment forever, what would it be? That's actually really funny. I was thinking about this the other day, and I was like, yo, if I walked into a random gym in the middle of nowhere, what would I be happy or okay with seeing? Like absolute worst case scenario, hammer strength. Like worst case scenario, if the entire gym was kitted out with hammer strength, like you can still get a pretty good workout out of it. Techno gym, trash. Matrix, trash. Um, some like fitness stuff is really solid, some is pretty shit. So I'll go with hammer strength as like the worst. And if it could be one brand, one line of like equipment forever, either original Cybex, like the OG stuff, or I'm trying not to say Strive because I don't love the Strive leg press. Um, Strive doesn't have a hack squat or a pendulum squat, so it kind of makes Strive, harder to pick. And you don't want to pick Prime because Prime is like the bastardized version of it. So I guess I'll say Nebula. Nebula would be sick to like walk into a gym, the whole place is kitted out in Nebula. So we'll go with Nebula. All right. Can you build good hamstrings with only curls? Can't RDL due to an injury currently rehabbing? Absolutely. I actually think that you could solely build a hamstring to a curl. Think about it. You have two options, right? Uh, a bent hand or a straight hand in terms of the curl. So a lying leg curl, seated leg curl, and kneeling leg curl. You could vary your rep ranges here. You can use single leg, you can use double leg. You can use different types of intensity techniques. I actually think for using different types of intensity techniques when it comes to hamstring curls is probably the key, right? You should do one set that's like super strong, like really getting in there and ripping it. Like how I do my seated leg curls is I have two sets. One set, hard contraction, heavy weight, really trying to squeeze the ever loving crap out of my hamstring, just get as much tension in there as possible with a heavy load. And my back off set is more, I always use the term pumpy, quote unquote, but it's not pumpy per se. Like I'm just cutting off a 10% range of motion up top. So I'm not getting to a fully straight leg and I'm not pausing it at the bottom. I'm staying in the active range of the muscle where I could feel it the whole time. Because I think the tension is key, and I think sensation is key when it comes to training a muscle like that. Think about your bicep, right? Like you're not going to spend a ton of time in the pause at a straightened arm with the bicep. You're going to kind of stay in that active range, and I think that's the key to doing hamstrings as well. Is staying in an active range of motion because guess what? Your bicep femoris is a hamstring muscle, so there's got to be some merit to it. Thoughts on or experience of trying to anadrol during a rebound? I'm gonna ixnay this one, man. I think that's a terrible idea. In a rebound, you just came off a prep. One of the benefits of a rebound is that you actually don't need as much gear as you would need in a prep scenario or in a growth phase because your body is so sensitive to the food. So you're going to put yourself in a position where you're able to grow a lot more muscle tissue just by having more food in the diet. You want your gear to be at a decent level, but like adding something like Anadrol, which is going to start fucking with your liver enzymes, or adding in Tren, which is going to make your sleep deleterious, like no, you're kind of as much as a rebound is maximizing growth, you are also recovering. Like your health should improve in a rebound. I don't believe that your health should deteriorate in a rebound. Um, so I think that that is a time where you realistically want to stay away from things like this. Something like a test, something like an EQ, something like a masteron, something like a primo. Um, naturally primo in there, but something like a test. Run your higher test, run your EQ, run your DECA or MPP, depending on what you like. I like both. Um, but there's no need for like a trend. There's no need for like an Anadrol. Might maybe a Proviron. Um, if you really want to throw an oral in there and Anavar every once in a while. I don't think that you need the Anadrol though. I think that's a terrible idea. What are the best worst spots to get tattoos for bodybuilding? All right, best spots: forearms, calves. They don't cover any major muscle groups that like the judges are really focusing on. Maybe the back of your neck, head, um, even the front of your neck would work. I guess the groin because that's where your trunk would lie. Like that's a little weird. Outside of that, worst spot, anything that covers a major muscle group and is extremely dark. So, like, I have my entire left arm tatted. That wasn't a great idea. Um, like a full quad piece, not a good idea. If you can get lean enough, you will still see it. If you have big enough muscle, it will still be separated, but it definitely takes away from the look. So, the thing I personally hate the most is when somebody has ab tattoos. I think that looks so bad on stage. Sorry if you have it. Don't mean to offend you. I just think it looks terrible on stage. All right. Cardio in the off season. I actually think cardio might be more important in the off season than in prep. You can turn around and diet your ass off. You can just do steps and not do any form of active cardio and just do steps and put yourself into a deficit. When you're in an off season, food is high. drugs are high. You're pushing yourself on a daily basis. Utilizing cardio, especially something like HIIT, is going to allow you to stay in sets for longer and be able to actually explore more ranges of motion by just staying more active. It'll also help with insulin sensitivity, which when you're full speed bulking, like your insulin sensitivity is going to be affected. So, I think that cardio in the off season is massively important. I think that's probably one of the best times to use cardio. Um, and again, you can get away with dieting without doing cardio. It's not exactly necessary. Your health metrics are going to improve as you diet. It is what it is. If you can only train one muscle group for the rest of your life, what would it be? It depends on what stage of life I'm in. Right now, I would say legs. And the reason is that I have that push, right? Like I love that I can take legs to a point where not everyone else can. I love that I can take my training to a point where like other people are not willing to go. So that's something that's super important to me. If I am, 50 years old, sure, it's not going to be legs. Probably going to be arms, delts, maybe chest, something that like I could just kind of go in and have fun with. What are your non-negotiable supplements that virtually everyone should take? Vitamin C, vitamin D3 and K2, omega-3 fish oil, magnesium. Keep it simple. Anything else, I think you got to turn around. You got to look at blood work to like get a better gauge on that. Shout out Dale for this one. What aspects of being a bodybuilder did you level up in the past year off season, and what changes did you make to do so? Sacrifices, habits, etc. So, funny enough, and he knows this, I was to a degree neurotic, right? Like I needed to make sure everything was perfect and like I'd stress out about the little stuff. And funny enough, like letting go actually allowed me more freedom as a bodybuilder and made me a better bodybuilder. I didn't stress the little things. Did what I had to do, and I got it done. So I think that made the biggest difference in terms of just like overall perspective on bodybuilding. Sacrifices that I had to make. I quit weed, but I don't even look at that as a sacrifice anymore because it's created such a benefit to me. It has made me so much better, not only as a bodybuilder, but as a business owner, as a human being. Um, I'm not in this constant state of like low emotion, just kind of dead to the world, or like, just not focused on things. Like, feel really good now. So whenever someone asks me, like, oh, was it hard quitting weed? No, no. After 3 days, I no longer felt the effects of like, hey, withdrawal. I was pretty much good to go. The only thing that I do miss about weed is training. Like training on weed is fun, but now training is more serious. I'm impressed. Like in the off season, if I decided to go back, it would only be for the training aspect of it. But the fucking come down afterwards is not worth it. So I don't think so. How long do you try something new? And let me make sure I finish that question. Yeah, I almost want to say I leveled up my attention to detail by not stressing on the little shit, allowing for the little bit of flexibility in the off season. When like, oh yeah, I ran out of chicken. Like, okay, well, I got ground turkey. Like, let's just fix the calories and you're good to go. Like, don't worry about it. Instead of stressing out about it or running to the store and trying to figure out like what I'm gonna do next. Like just just make it work for you. Right. Like that's what the key was. Made for me. Right. Next question. How long do you try something new training wise before evaluating its effectiveness? Different split while you've adjusting, etc. Stick it, bro. Pick it and stick it. Once you decide on something, stick with it. Don't turn around and keep changing stuff up. And because you're not going to see a difference in the first 4 weeks, you're not going to see a difference in the first 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe 10 weeks. 12 weeks, yes. Right. So after 12 weeks, when you probably are sitting there and you're like feeling pretty fucking beat up, that's when I would suggest to you to like take an audit and say, hey, is this working for me or not? And compare pictures. Don't just like turn around and like, oh, I feel tired. Like, yo, did the muscle groups you were looking to grow, or did they not? It's a pretty simple cut and dry answer. Are your lifts progressing? Yes or no? Is your form the same to progress deadlifts? Yes or no? If those answers are all yes, then we did the right thing. Those answers are like hit or miss, then hey, maybe you got to make some changes. And based off of like, here's the thing, right? Food and gear is going to grow muscle, period, as long as you're training. So you are going to see if you're training correctly or not based off of how things are running. It's a lot simpler than you think it is. Right. How would you plan your cleanse doses if you don't do fasted cardio during the week? I would still just do it first thing in the morning. Um, you want to take it on a fat, like you want to take it fasted, so just keep it fasted. It's it's just going to work better throughout the day, right? Like one of the things with cleanse is that it's going to make you more active throughout the day. So therefore, you're going to turn around and you're going to have a higher NEAT. If you take it closer to bed, you're just going to like start stimulating yourself to have shit sleep. So take it first thing in the morning. That's still going to be your best bet. Feel like I've answered this a lot, but what shows you got in mind, brother? I have one show in mind as of right now, and that's NPC Universe. I don't love planning multiple shows in a year. Um, the reason is first and foremost, I'm not a pro. I'm going to a pro qualifier. If I start planning, NPC Universe and North Americans or USAs or whatever, that's me pretty much saying like I don't think I'm gonna win it. I don't want to even have that thought cross my mind. I don't want to think about winning. I don't want to think about losing. I don't want to think about executing on the plan that I have in front of me. So right now it's universe. That's it. Biggest thing in bodybuilding you have learned that doesn't have to do with the physique. I really like this question. This can go a lot of ways, honestly. I think that one of the biggest things that I've learned about bodybuilding is, I'm going to go with a couple different answers for this. Uh, one of the biggest things is to be selfish. And that sounds crazy to like be an outside person. So let me explain it, right? There are times in life where you have to be selfish with your time. You have to keep certain things tight to the chest and make sure that you are the person who, like, nobody else can take this shit from you. So for me, I'm extremely selfish with my time of training. When I'm training, I want to be training. I want to train hard. I want to have fun. This is where I get my release, right? Like, I get dopamine response from training. Some people get a stress relief. I don't really get a stress relief. I get the ability to go in and like I find it fun. So I want to use that time to have fun. And I'm selfish with it. I don't really want to be on my phone. I don't really want to be talking to people. I just want to enjoy my own time. And if I do feel like talking to people, like everyone in here will know, right? Like I will be loud, I will be boisterous, and I'll start fucking around with people. Like that's just it is what it is. Um, so that's one of the big things. Another thing that I learned is the importance of sleep. And like you would think, oh, sleep because you want to recover. No, no, no. Having a good sleep schedule will allow you to get other things done in your day that you did not expect, right? Like you will have more time in your day because you're more energized throughout the entirety of the day. If you're more energized throughout the entirety of the day, then you're going to be a better version of yourself. So sleep is massively important. And that's something in college that I really didn't ever prioritize. And I kind of wish I did because if I had, who knows where I'd be right now, in terms of bodybuilding, in terms of being an athlete, in terms of being like better at school. I would rather stay up until midnight playing video games than to turn around at 10 o'clock knowing I had it. So that is definitely something I wish I had prioritized earlier. Next would be discipline, right? I played college football. I had pretty decent time management and I had pretty good discipline. but it only got exacerbated once I got into bodybuilding, right? Like the ability to say no is wild. A lot of people struggle with that. They're really, really bad at saying no to people, especially people that they love, especially people in their family. Like they sit there and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I can't say no to them. Like they do all this for me." But turning around and saying like, "Hey, listen, even though it's off season, even though like it would make sense that I could go and have this piece of chocolate. I'm disciplined enough. I know that I love myself enough, and that's really where the key is, right? Like you love yourself enough to say, "No, this isn't going to work for me. I'm sorry." My goals are bigger than this. For whatever reason, your goals are bigger than that. Your goals are bigger than that is huge. What's the biggest difference so far with this prep in comparison to last year's prep? I don't have a stupid fucking Joe doesn't give me fucking repeats that are getting non-coms off the back of for no reason. Um, my cardio is not at 55 minutes already. I'm not on copious amounts of steroids for no reason. Everything that we're doing has a reason, has a plan. Whereas back when I was with the other guy, there was no plan, there was no reasoning. He was flying by the seat of his pants and pretty much just drug me into the shit. All right. Why do people who look disciplined still feel out of control? I don't think we ever realistically feel like we're in control because life happens outside of us. Right? There's certain things that are in our control, and there's a lot of things that are not. And I think that most people sit there and they try to, stronghold everything and don't let life come to them. And that's why people who are disciplined feel out of control. But when you get to a point where you realize that like life is going to happen and you can only affect what you can affect, you will feel a lot more in control. When's an appropriate time to throw in things like ARBs, pretty much, is what he's saying. And Tim, I'm never going to say that right. So I'm sorry, in the Bivolo. Think proactively for most people. Um, if you are a bodybuilder taking steroids, you should probably be on some version of an ARB. Um, Even a low dose. I mean, you should be checking your blood pressure anyway. If your blood pressure starts to creep above that like 130 over 80 mark, I would definitely say it's time to throw that in. And then it's almost like I hate to say it like this, but it's trial and error. Which one works the best for you to get your blood pressure to go down? Tips on growing big arms. Pump the ever loving shit out of them. Utilizing things like drop sets, utilizing things like rest pause sets, utilizing um, high rep counts, short rest periods. I think genuinely those are muscle groups that can not only take a beating, the loading does not matter much because think about it like this, right? How often are you going from a 35-pound dumbbell curl to a 40-pound dumbbell curl and then to a 45-pound dumbbell curl? Or you're going from 10 reps to 11 reps to 12 reps. It's really not that often. So I almost think that it's a better idea to go lighter, keep the ever loving shit out of it, and try to progress your pump per se. Like, see how much you can get out of getting a nasty, nasty, nasty pump. How hard can you push that? That's my thoughts on it. Thoughts on ratatouille, 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 right? It is the best GLP that we have available for your pet rat. Let's talk about what it does, right? Red is a GLP-1 or is a GLP agonist, a GIP, and a glucagon receptor agonist. In layman's terms, GLP affects appetite, GIP affects insulin, glucagon affects liver. Glucagon is going to push the liver to push glucose into the bloodstream, raising blood sugar. Doesn't sound like a great idea. Then the GIP is going to affect your insulin. So you're going to start to clear said glucose better, along with the glucose that you were taking into your body. So you will be more insulin sensitive. So then you also have the GLP aspect, which personally I don't really get much out of, but it's now also going to be an appetite suppressant. So when you start thinking about the fact that your liver is pulling out sugar, and your liver is pretty much cleaner, right? Like it's currently filtering better because it has less sugar. That's going to allow you to burn more fat. It's going to allow you to get more toxins out of your body. It's going to allow you to filter pretty much everything better. You will essentially be healthier. So realistically, I think that Reddit is a magical thing if taken correctly, if taken responsibly. And for bodybuilders, I think it's something that is massively beneficial. Now, there are side effects, quote unquote. Um, when you have a glucagon receptor agonist and the blood sugar is going up, with in respect of what it actually does, right? That you are going to sit there and you're going to have more, you're going to have a higher heart rate because it needs to be metabolized, right? So you are going to have a higher heart rate most of the time. You're going to have a higher chance of going hypoglycemic because your insulin production is better. You're going to have slower gastric emptying because your appetite is suppressed because the gastric emptying is being slow, which means that you can get nauseous, you can get constipated, you can have loose stools. Things like that are quote unquote side effects that are really just effects of the drug working itself. So put that in your pipe and smoke it. When someone adapts to a program, what's your sign? It's time to pivot. Um, if this is about training, I don't think there is a time to pivot. I think most people try to hop programs way too often. I've run programs for like 31, 60 weeks, something like that. And genuinely, you can do that as long as it's working, as long as you're seeing the gains that you want to see from it, you can do that. When I needed overall growth, I needed to grow my entire body. I ran that program for 40 weeks, and it was 2 leg days, 2 push days, 1 back day. My back has always just grown better. The program I ran this off season, 2 leg days, 2 push days, 1 back day. The current program I'm running is an upper lower split, so it's just 2 days of each. But that's also because I'm in prep. So I'm not growing muscle tissue at that point. And as soon as I get to off season, I am gonna most likely stick with this upper lower split for a while. But there's probably gonna be a time where it's like, hey, listen, either my legs have grown a lot or my chest has grown a lot more, and I'm gonna have to change some things up. It happens. Maybe I'll go to a bro split. Who knows? But you don't need to pivot until you need to pivot, and you will find that out because some things are growing just significantly better than others. When someone moves from a bulk into a cut, will you usually change in their training? So I don't ever move somebody from a bulk to a cut immediately. There is a grace period of which I am going to drop their training actual either frequency or volume for a good 2 to 3 weeks. Normally, I want them to freshen up. So that is the only change I will make, and then I will let them go right back to their normal training. The reason is what builds the muscle keeps the muscle. And there's no point where we are trying to not only we're going to increase output through steps and cardio. So why would we turn around and then decrease the output by just having less sets to do? I also don't think that doing more sets is going to be beneficial because we're not in a recovery surplus anymore. So doing something like that just has never made sense to me. What is your go-to cheat meal? Sushi. All you can eat sushi every time. It's consistent. It's great. It's clean. Makes me feel good. Favorite tempo for maximal growth? I love this question because I used to be a fucking tempo Nazi, but 4-1-1-1 tempo or 3-2-1-1 tempo. The best tempo to maximize muscle growth is to be able to control the fucking weight the entirety of the movement. If you can't control it, you can't do it. If you are sitting there and you're crashing at the bottom of a hack squat, or you are doing rows and the thing is just pulling you all over the place, you are wrong. Be able to control the weight. And if I turn around and I told you in the eccentric stop, you should be able to stop at any given point. That might take a second because you wire that to your brain. But you should be in control of the weight. So that is my favorite tempo. It's the one that you can fucking control. Some people move fast. I am not telling someone like Luke Pritchard to turn around and do a slow barbell row. It's fucking stupid. In your opinion, what is the best carb, protein, and fat source? Carb is rice. Protein, I'm gonna have to say chicken here, but a lot of me wants to say eggs or whey. But you're asking almost in a way of like whole food. So I'm gonna say chicken. And I'm not gonna say egg because I don't like eggs or I can't really digest eggs well unless it's very small amounts and small quantities. And also there's as equal amount of protein to fats in egg. Fat source, my favorite is a nut butter. Probably your best is gonna be either macadamia nut oil or like a very high quality extra virgin olive oil um in terms of like health benefits. And then I got this question. I know that Joe, Luke, and Tom on the One More Rep podcast answered this the other day. Do you believe it's necessary for younger bodybuilders to get a little chubbier in the offseason? Yes. I believe that for every bodybuilder, there is going to be a phase of prep or a phase of your bodybuilding career where you are going to get a little bit bigger than you want to. You're going to get a little softer in the offseason. I think it's necessary because you need to almost get acclimated to a heavier weight. Your body has to get used to you being a heavier weight. So let's say the heaviest you've ever been was 200 pounds. Then you get peeled, and then you go into a big off season, right? So you go from 165 pounds and you push all the way up to 210 and fucking 50, almost 50 pounds of muscle or 50 pounds of tissue or 50 pounds of weight. Wow. Yeah, like you successfully did that. That is not going to be easy to walk around with and carry and hold. Like you earn every acre step of that. So I think that you need to turn around and you need to just say, like, hey, listen, I don't look the best right now. But if you could get there and then marinate there, it's going to make your entire bodybuilding career significantly better. A perfect example of it this past year, like being a rebound, I got up to about 257 pounds. We then did a little mini cut. I got down to 238, and within a week, I was back up to 253. The entire rest of the offseason, I stayed around 256, 257, 12 weeks or so. And the idea was just, we're going to sit up here for a while. We're not going to allow I did not get per se fat, but I held that weight for a period of time that was uncomfortable. I had to get comfortable with being that big so that when I came down in prep, right now I'm still in the 230s, right? I am going to be a bigger human on stage this year because I marinated out that way. And here's the thing, right? When you're heavier, you're able to move more load. You will get stronger. So you are now able to put more mechanical tension on the muscle. So being a heavier individual, being a little bit chubby, having better leverages on the weight is going to attribute itself to growing more muscle in the long run. In the short term, No, you don't grow as well when you're fat. But when you get strong at that weight and then you come back down, that is going to be very, very big for you to do. You will turn around and you will get significantly more out of it. So you need to turn around and you need to get chubby. And it might not just be once, it might be a few times. It depends on your actual tissue, like how much size you actually put on. So we will finish this out with one more question. Well, it's a question that's on everyone's mind, right? I get my legs to grow so quickly. Actually, that is such gap. I am busting when it comes to stuff like I would not want to put stuff like that in my legs. The real true key, the thing that people, everyone always asks me, like, how did you double the size of your legs like this? Training wise, I cut volume down significantly. I cut movement patterns down significantly. So instead of doing, a leg press and a half squat, and then leg extensions and a single leg movement, now we got calves, seated leg curls, or some version of a leg curl, big press, leg extensions, inner outer hip, done. That's it. Go in, absolutely annihilate whatever that movement is, and be out. That's one thing that significantly changed. Two, I train in a much higher rep range now. My rep range for leg movements is somewhere in the 12 to 20 rep range, with the goal of literally feeling every single rep of my quad. They're agonizing attacks. I do not enjoy going into them, but they paid some crazy dividends, man. Whereas in the past, I used to try and shoot for like a 6 to 10. That sounds good until you get into a prep. I do have to move 7 volts for 6 reps. Oh my god, this is yeah, it's only 6, but holy crap, this thing is heavy. Whereas now on the same leg press, I would probably move 5 weights. We get to like 17, 18, and yeah, it's not hot fucking really. But God, so. And then lastly, the big thing was nutrition. I had more food allocated towards my leg days, um, mainly around the training window. So I think I was having like 150 to 160 grams of carbs pre-workout, 100 grams intra, and 200 posts. I remember what the post meal was. It was like 180 grams of cream of rice, 26 grams of honey, and a banana. So 100 grams of cream of rice, like 72 grams of carbs. So 200 grams of cream of rice could be like 144. So it's probably close to like 130-ish there. Then 20 grams of carbs from banana, and then 20 grams of carbs from the honey. So what's that, 170? So about 170 plus some protein, so maybe like 4 or 5 grams of carbs from that. So you can count that stuff. So like 175 grams of carbs post coated free with the English muffin, 164 grams of cream of rice, probably something like 150. Um, and the rest of the day, like I maybe have like 100, 120 grams of carbs per meal. So food was significantly higher those days. I didn't have cardio on those days. And it was just like, every resource that we had was devoted towards growing bigger legs. We are not fucking around with it. Um, Joe was hypercritical on my actual like leg training too. The goal was to build pro pro level legs in one off season. I don't think we did that, but they're significantly better than we thought they were. So now, as long as they stick, we'll be in a pretty good spot. So With that said, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for showing up. Leave a comment, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you guys have more questions, I either put it on my actual Instagram story, or you can just comment them down below, and I'll get to them next time. With that said, Moses the Muscle, I'm out, baby.